money, Lebowski? Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the fucking money, shithead?
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
So you have no frame of reference here, Donnie. You're like a child who wanders into the middle of a movie and wants to know, Walter, what's the point, man? Here's my point, dude. There's no fucking reason why these two. Welcome to another edition of The Good Talk. We are here tonight with a very awesome fucking guest. This is probably the queen of fishing of North Dakota, somebody who has shifted their paradigms through altering habits and creating life change and proving that it's really fucking possible. We couldn't be more excited to have a real life representation of what we talk about here at The Good Talk, and that's applying new thought, and that's solving old problems with new thinking, and just doing what you can to be a better person. I am here with my brother Chris Rubb.
Evening, everybody.
And our wonderful guest is none other than Jessica Parizek.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome to the show, Jessica. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on. I feel so privileged. This is awesome.
Hey, I think the privilege is probably mutually shared at that point then. So I know you've listened a little bit, and we're going to jump right into it. For the folks who've been listening to us, you know how we do it here at The Good Talk. We are going to fill the swimming pool of Jessica's soul with 5 divisive questions. We're going to toss our lines in and see what we can fish out. With these 5 questions, Rub, what's the rules?
There are no third options.
No third options.
And there are no wrong answers.
And there's no wrong answers. Absolutely.
it.
That's a very key aspect of it here. So please, if you're listening to us and you enjoy this, we really would love it. Find us on iTunes. We are The Good Talk. It's one word. Kick us a review. Share a little bit of your time with us as we do with you. So, Jessica, we like to toss a lot of silly food questions out. And
I love my food.
I know. So my first one, steak or pasta? So a nice steak dinner or a pasta dinner? You can have breadsticks. I mean, whatever you want with it.
This girl's got to have her steak. This girl has got to have her nice, juicy steak. And as odd as it is, I didn't eat steak until about 8 years ago.
Whoa.
I was scared to try it because I grew up on a farm.
Oh.
And so it seemed like all of our pets used to end up on our dinner plate. And truth be told, I never ate steak until I went on a date. And I really liked this guy. And he said, I'm going to cook you dinner. And he cooked me steak. And I went into the bathroom and I'm like, oh, crap. How am I going to eat this?
Just thinking of poor Steve.
Yeah, like
just
the
had to-
blood running out of it. And I'm
not-
like, you're kidding me. Oh, crap. How am I going to do this?
It's not Doris the cow.
I ate it. And then seriously, the next weekend, went to a family gathering with my parents, ordered a steak, and everybody about fell off their chairs because they were like, what is going on? I love steak. I love a good juicy steak, some taters, little salad.
Gotta have the spuds.
Oh, without potatoes, it's not even dinner.
Yep.
Without the spuds, no dinner. Rub, where do you land in the pasta versus steak realm?
I find like a good steak.
tough
There's
one.
really nothing that's gonna beat like a top notch steak, but it can so easily go wrong. And that being said, a pasta. I do love a pasta dish too. I'm gonna be the contrarian tonight, and I'm gonna go pasta.
You gotta roll with like the more consistency. Now, Jess, you're willing to give up lasagna?
There's only one lasagna that I would give it up for, and that is in Cabo San Lucas. Ooh. They make the best pasta. You would not think that being in Mexico.
No.
That's not what they're known for, sure.
It is like the biggest lasagna you'll ever eat, and it is just loaded, and it's so yummy. But that would be the only time.
That'd be it.
One and only time.
I am also definitely in the realm of steak on this one. Give me a nice medium rare steak, and I'll probably load it up with a half rack of ribs if I'm really feeling like, the American pig that I can be. Come on, man. You got to feed me. It's wonderful. I think the best way to cook a steak is in a frying pan. If you don't have just like the incineratingly hot, nice grill to do it on. I've given people my steak recipe in a pan. I had a buddy who was going on a date, and he's still with this girl now, and I swear it's because of the steak recipe dinner I gave him. I'm taking all the credit for his love life right now. All the credit.
But here's the other question. Steak sauce or no steak sauce?
I'll usually, if it's a worthy steak, I'll make it through most of the way without steak sauce, but I really do I just legitimately enjoy A1 and 57.
Me too.
So usually at the end there.
If it's properly cooked, it shouldn't have to be covered up. But they do complement each other very well.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I would never like splatter like A1 all over my steak like some
Right.
kind of asshole.
Yeah,
Like, fuck.
that's way out of line.
That's fucking
Right.
out of line. That's like being the prick that dishes up cake by scooping into the middle, or the dip.
Again,
can't do
some
that.
people just want to watch the world burn.
Some people they're aliens.
Right.
People who do that are not of
You
this
are
world.
way out of line.
All
You
right,
need
so I
to
like
check
that.
yourself.
So we got 2 steak, we got 1 pasta. Of course, there's no wrong answer. It'd be sad to give up my wife's lasagna, but man, for the right steak, fuck it, I can roll without that one. And this is a question. Once in a while, we're gonna revisit old questions. Not all the time, but I had to bring this one back out because we have probably one of the best fishermen I've ever hung out with. Fisher women. How do you say that for the female? Like, are you a fisherman,
Angler.
fisher person?
I just say I'm a fisher gal.
fisher
Fisher
gal.
gal.
Okay.
Yep, fisher gal. Because when I
So-
say fisherman, like I feel like they think I'm a man, even though I probably can fish better than most men. I'm just
You
putting
got us
that out
beat.
there.
You got us beat. Yeah, I'll tell everybody here right now. Most listeners, I promise, Jess probably has a higher Apocalypse survival rating than you or I combined. I know she's got Rub and I beat. Rub's kind of an engineer.
I like getting drunk on boats. Does that count as fishing?
You can come
part
with
of the
me
process.
anytime.
Okay, cool.
So having said that, big time fisher. If you had to, which would you rather be? The worm on the hook or the fish getting caught?
Ooh.
Turn up the heat.
Oh, and see, now last time I did this, I chose worm. I just felt like being the fish getting caught by the hook. Now, just imagine, if you will, every time you opened your fridge, something jumped out and punched you in the face. Mm-hmm. Like that's.
It sounds
you know,
like it's a question
sucks.
that's sort of like you can break down. Do you want to be a victim of circumstance like the worm who just got scooped up out of his home, like, by a shovel or what have you, or do you want to be a victim of your own behavior like the fish who bit on that hook? You know what I mean? Who responded to that wiggly worm?
Yeah, of course.
I think I would probably go with the fish. And the reason I would go with the fish is because I'm a person that really likes to think about things before I act on them.
Nice.
And so I feel like,
good quality.
you go fishing with some of the people that I take fishing and they can't wiggle their worm. And so the fish isn't going to bite that damn worm no matter how juicy that worm looks, because it's smart enough to realize that it's not going to go for that. But,
Right.
and so you got to think of it as the fish way, and think of it as if that worm is really doing its job and really wiggling and they got all the techniques down, me as a fish, I'm going to bite that. I'm going to hit that.
You're gonna hit it. I'm tapping it.
Yeah, I'm tapping that. If it's too good to be true, if it's just moving and doing everything it's supposed to be doing, I'm hitting that.
Fuck, and then you just get yanked around by your face for like 3 minutes and scooped up by some drunk asshole fisherman, like maybe clubbed over the head.
Right?
Fuck, that's a bad ending.
Right.
Like,
but
if
they
you're the
could
worm, it's
come
just
up and
boom.
Miss Walleye's sitting up in my boat and I give them a big old kiss and take pictures with them and put my lash glasses on them.
You hear that, fish? If you're listening, Miss Walleye will make you famous.
Yep. I will take a picture with you and I'll give you a kiss and I'll send you back down.
I kind of want to be a fish now.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm worm. I'm worm in this. It's just a much simpler end. But I respect the fish position. I think Rub is more of a fish in this scenario than a worm.
I'm just really critical. Before
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
about doing things, like I always look, I watch, and then I make a decision if I'm going to hit it.
See, and what critical decision making went into putting the worm on the hook? Like, you gave all this wonderful thought to the fish. Where's the worm love here?
Well, the
nobler
worm,
form.
there's, as contrary as people might think, there is really a technique to putting the worm on the hook.
I never would have known.
So that the fish doesn't think that it's just a hook and a, piece of bait laying there. You want to make it as realistic as possible. So definitely, there's a trick to it,
Presentation, man.
Presentation. Love that word. Yeah.
How do you present
good presentation.
the worm to the fish? That's awesome. That's really, really good answer. Really well thought out. And being that this is the Christmas season, we're throwing in. I think this is not only our first holiday sort of good talk oriented question, but it's going to be our first movie question as well. We've never sliced somebody up by movie, have we, Reb?
I don't recall that we have.
I don't think we have.
No.
So, and you sort of inspired this one with a Facebook post you had a little while back. So,
With comment?
It's coming back at you. Better Christmas movie, Elf or National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
I have to say Elf.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Wow.
Everybody who ever went to school with you in the 90s hates you right now.
I know.
Like, they're both
People
great.
are dying at that answer.
They're both great, but
No.
Lampoon's Christmas
How
Vacation.
dare you
though.
turn your back
Yeah.
on National Lampoons and Chevy Chase and all the
Shitter's
wonderful
full.
moments.
Yep, I get it. I get it.
But listen, if anybody who's like 20, some of them don't even know what that movie is.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Young people.
Yep.
I mean, we asked a question before on here. It was Macho Man or Hulk Hogan, and if you're an 80s kid, that's a glorious question. But post 80s, that question doesn't have a lot of potency.
Right.
But Elf, Will Ferrell, National Lampoon's Chevy Chase.
They're both good.
I think the
One
only
is
reason
great.
I really love Elf is because I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan.
He is awesome.
You
Because
got
he's
the
just so damn
Will Ferrell
funny.
bias.
Like Step Brothers, like ask me about
It's amazing.
Step Brothers. Like Step Brothers, my favorite movie of all time. Like I think I have every word memorized.
Oh, that's
Like did
our
we just
Lebowski.
become best friends? Like I love that movie.
The Will Ferrell factor has got you choosing Elf, and listen, I may have given you a lot of shit for not choosing National Lampoons, but man.
I mean, you can't go wrong. Like you said, no wrong answers.
Rub? Yes, there is. This time there is.
You shut your mouth.
She did that one wrong. No, when I watch Elf now, I can laugh with explosive hilarity,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
don't know if it's just because of the test of time or if I've seen it more, but Lampoons doesn't pull the laughter out of me the same right now. It's still glorious.
Yes.
I love it. It's
More
amazing.
nostalgia.
It's almost like the
anymore.
Christmas Story movie.
Yeah.
You know, like you
sure.
still laugh about it, but just not maybe as much.
And I can relate a lot of that with my own kids. I watch as many silly Christmas movies as I can with them. We just watched Santa Claus 2 the other night. It was fantastic. They loved it. National Lampoons definitely doesn't hold up for them. Elf, fucking rocket. You know, they're rocking with Elf. Like they think that's fantastic. So, but Rub, like I see you over there. Like you're kind of freaking out. You're going to represent National Lampoons here, aren't you? Or is it going to be a unified platform? Are we all going to be humans, or are you picking National Lampoons?
I'm going to go ahead and shift. Elf is the more funny of the two. It's the more cartoonishly comical, and it still does hold up. Lampoons has more of a nostalgia factor.
More of a grungy, sleazy factor.
It is that.
Like Lampoons is super sleazy. Not that that's there's anything wrong with that.
No,
I grew up with the Bundys.
It was the flavor of the day. It
was.
was that
Oh, for
80s
sure.
comedy was very much more gritty.
The
Nowadays
80s
it's
were
a
a
lot
sleazy
more
era.
slapsticky,
notice?
almost cartoonish funny.
In 80s, what was sleazy is now in this era sexy. Right? Like, is that what a weird shift in perception that's kind of
For
created.
sure, right?
I mean, I think it is.
Absolutely.
Like, when you
I
looked
don't
at
think you're wrong about that.
what they were doing, it was just this sleazy, grungy, dirty kind of thing. And it was almost disdainful, and all that dirtiness as it people wore down from years of just seeing
just
it
being
there.
desensitized
It just
now.
I think it was a overall desensitization,
Right.
and now those same symbols that were sleazy transform into these iconic sex symbols, as opposed to
Right.
Absolutely.
It's like a pushback from that religious right sort of mindset of the status quo of the 80s was to do those sleazy type things, but do them in a way that really had shock value behind them, that was really like a little bit extra gritty, a little bit extra nasty, and kind of evoked more of a almost a distasteful vibe for its time and place. Nowadays, again, we don't necessarily have a lot of that. Like we've moved away from the puritanical mainstream, and when we wish to portray like sexiness, things like that, it can be done in a more like a more straightforward manner. It doesn't have to be done so sleazily, so dirtily.
Right.
yeah, of course. Take this cigarette out of her mouth,
Right, there you go.
straighten her hair out,
Yeah.
and you've got it.
I like it.
Yes.
That's exactly it. She doesn't
I'm
have to have
sorry.
her hair teased up 4 feet.
Kind of.
and-
Not to pick on
Yes.
smokers or anything, but that was.
But that comes off
that-
as sleazy. That's
does.
what that is.
Right.
That's absolutely what
She doesn't
that
have
is.
a pack of reds hanging out of her shirt, and
Oh, I'm in
Like-
love.
the fishnet that's torn up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what it is.
They take
Yeah.
you take out the torn up fishnet, you
Right.
take out the messy hair and cigarette, and you just make it a straight skirt,
Yep.
nice hair,
Yep.
boom.
It's just
sexy.
straightforward sexy. It doesn't have to be.
It's not
It's not
sleazy.
pushing against the grain.
And there's
so
nothing
hard.
wrong with either one. Whatever you do, whatever floats your boat out there, people.
Sure.
So we're in a unified stance of Elf, and I want to know how you feel out there, folks. If you're listening,
Yeah.
find us on Twitter at the Good Talk 5. Hit us up on Facebook. We're the Good Talk, the podcast, and we love those iTunes subscriptions. We're the Good Talk. That is one word. Let us know how you land in that world, and I've.
Start an argument, for God's sake.
Yeah. Fuck with us. Maybe you want to be that asshole that puts in a third option.
I
You don't
dare
get-
you. You know what? I dare
I
dare
dare
you.
you to say that you're a better fisherman than me.
Ooh.
Dare you.
Them's fighting words.
And
Them are fighting words.
I
Miss
dare
Walley's
you-
not going to tolerate it.
No. Now, is that boat fishing, shore fishing, ice fishing, or D, all of the above?
D, all of the above.
Fuck, really? Now,
Drops the mic.
Multidisciplinary fisherman.
is there one of those that you would say you're best at, or you're just all around that damn good at all three?
I am all around damn that good.
impressive.
No, I'm just kidding. No, last year I got my first boat.
team, and I played every position.
I just got my first boat last year, so it's been a lot of respecting being my own captain of my boat now versus just being a passenger in the boat. It's amazing how much talent it is to run the boat and fish at the same time. Like, I used to always,
I don't doubt it.
yell at my dad, like, put me on the fish. And, like, I can, now that I run my own boat and have to, like, hand people worms and tie people's lures and
put them
stay
on
on
fish.
this and do this.
You're
like,
bringing a lot of newbies out with you, is what I'm hearing.
I am. And we have so much damn fun. Like, seriously, we got to do one of these shows on the boat
On a boat?
sometimes. Oh, my God.
That
We're going
can
to have
be
so much
arranged. We have the technology.
Yeah.
When I knew we were gonna do this, I was thinking to myself, why doesn't she just film her show? Do it, set it up, like put on a couple GoPros and just try it out. Start uploading your videos, man. I think it'd be huge.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like, I literally bought like almost every GoPro attachment because of the fact this winter now, if we ever get ice, like I'm hoping that it's not just going to be cold and we actually get ice. But I am setting it up, and I'm going to do lots of makeup sales and lots of fishing out there, and I'm probably
All at
going to be
once.
putting on my lipstick while I'm reeling a fish up, and
This sounds like fun.
it's going to be fun.
That's hilarious. No, you'd get along great with Turd Man. He is a diehard ice fishing guy. That is his favorite thing in the world. When he sees the snow, he's excited. He wants the cold, and I say fuck you. That's stupid. And he says nope. This is perfect weather for me. I can get out there on the ice.
Yes, you don't see very many of us girls out on the ice fishing.
I
More
can-
of the girls in the boat with getting a tan, drinking beer, but there's a reason like I'm one of the groupie that gets to go ice fishing with all the guys up in
Sure.
Canada every year.
You go on. Is this like a big major trip?
Yeah, we go every like February, March. There's a big group of guys and me, and I think it's like more of a self-esteem thing for me, honestly, because we stay at a hotel and I'm like the only girl at the hotel. And when I walk out of the elevators in the morning to all the guys sitting around eating breakfast, like everyone's like, "Who's that?"
Yeah, I'm
It's
sure it
crazy.
turns a lot of heads. Nobody who brought their wife.
Yeah.
Fuck, that guy's not fucking invited next year.
Yes.
Like, right?
Yeah, and then in fact, the last year was the first year that I was able to go with these guys, and there was a few guys that were upset about it. They're like, "You're bringing a girl,
God.
like blah," and I wasn't dating any of them. But then we went up and started fishing, and I started kicking the shit out of all of them, and they're like,
Oh, you
"Okay,
had to.
we know why she's here
You
now."
had to. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Pretty soon they were digging in my tackle box.
I can say this for
Is that
sure.
a metaphor?
No, not that box. Not that box. My actual tackle box.
Of all the dudes I know who go ice fishing, which there are plenty, not a single one of them ever references a woman going.
Right.
So, ladies, you're being challenged here. Go out there and ice fish once. You know?
And it's hard. I think that's why
probably
I've
sucks for a
lived
lot
a
of people.
single life for so long. Is there's not many guys that can keep up with me.
Like whatever
hilarious.
whatever your passion is, don't let your gender get in the way.
Right.
That's like whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that I would definitely be intimidated by what I identify as your apocalypse survival rating, and that's what loads up our fourth question tonight on the Good Talk. Which apocalyptic situation would you rather be a survivor in? The zombie apocalypse or the robot wars?
It's gotta be the zombie apocalypse.
Everybody goes, it seems easier.
It's gotta be.
It seems like the easy
I don't
button.
want to fight a damn robot.
No.
Like I want to rip
tough.
off heads of something that's coming at me, going, "Bleh," you know.
But what if, like, with the
Fast zombies or
zombies,
slow zombies?
with the zombies, then that's Rub asks a very fair question. Are we going slow walker zombies or the fast crazy zombies? Would that change your answer?
Nope.
'Cause if it's the fast crazy zombies, that's fucking.
If it's the fast crazies, then that just means that I gotta pick the right gun,
you need the right type
right
of gun, right ammo.
tools, right ammo, right survival.
You know,
not wrong.
the other thing now, the robots. You know, what if there was just like one per zone? There was one giant, massive robot that ruled like this whole zone. You might be able to kind of just hide from them all the time. The zombies, it's going to be a horde. They're going to turn people on you. You might have to kill somebody you love. Like
Yeah,
when
that's
they turn,
true.
when they turn, humans are going to turn against each other. I wonder in the robot wars if humans would have a more unified stance with each other. Whereas in the zombie apocalypse, there's like this more stretched out survival, and it's slower and seemingly more drawn out. Humans start to turn on each other, and you've got more to compete with.
I think we're almost going through a zombie apocalypse right now, aren't we? With people turning against each other.
It's-
Like I don't think there's going to be much change.
Hopefully, it doesn't spread with biting.
Yeah.
I certainly think that the zombie apocalypse seems a little bit more survivable, though. Like, you can get out there in the mountains.
Robots
Obviously, you're very self-serving. Now, look, do you keep like a bug-out pack at your house or anything? I have one, and I'm not even an outdoors guy, but I do have a simple bug-out pack. It's got, a pack of MR. It's got a good chunk of MREs in it, a bunch of cool survival shit, and it's just there, just in case anytime we ever needed it.
I don't.
I've got
In
one
my
of those life
house,
straws.
I have, guns all over and stuff just for me hunting and fishing. And, I always stock up on things, but I really don't have, I know some people, I've run into before, they have, a storage container just full of stuff, ready to go at the blink of an eye kind of thing. And I don't.
It's smart. It's prepared.
Right. I think I'm more of, a simpleton person. I'm one of those people that, if I had a knife, a gun, some ammo, maybe something to prepare water for, I really feel like I could survive. Even though I come off as this dolled up girl, I really think that I could survive
And
quite a bit.
She's tiny, folks.
Push
Let me
come
tell
to
you.
shove.
If you've never seen Jessica in real life, she is tiny. Mm-hmm. She's a tiny person. What are you,
4'11".
4'11". So
Yep.
she doesn't even crack 5 foot, and she's challenging everybody's apocalypse survival rating right now, and she'd
oxygen-
probably win.
The
Yep.
oxygen is thick down here. That makes us smarter.
Yeah, I can crawl. I can run really fast.
Rub, what do you think? You think you could you could survive the robot wars or the zombie apocalypse?
I'd definitely zombies are the preferable of the two. Robots are just
Robots are why do
coldly
they seem
efficient.
Yeah, why do they seem so much more scary than zombies? Really?
They don't stop. They don't get. Well, I guess neither do zombies. But I don't know. Robots, they're generally going to be made out of metal. They're hypothetically impervious to just about anything that you could throw at them. They're scary, man.
See what?
Look at the Transformers movie. They
course,
beat the
if they're
shit
that,
out of
then you're
them.
fucked. Well,
And yet
everyone
they don't
jumps
go
to-
down.
Everyone jumps to Transformers. What if they're just like these dumb sort of mechanical automatons that are really fucking dumb? What if all the robots
well, then they don't pose much of a threat.
What if they were all like no smarter than like your average 10-year-old?
Well, then how'd they take us over? Why is that?
Why
is it a problem?
I don't know. It's a good question.
That's
They
then,
never
then
would've
I'm
got
blaming
there.
us.
Yeah. Then you're blaming.
But if we got taken
It's our
over by
fault.
some shit like that, then it's
we
our
fucking deserve
It was
it.
our day to go.
Well, because they're huge and they would have lasers. They're like 100 feet tall with lasers.
The ultimate equalizer. If they've got lasers,
huge.
we're fucked.
Huge and lasers. That's it.
Game over.
You lose.
I love it.
All right, so we're gonna round it out with a big kind of fifth question here, and we want to really talk about changing and shifting our habits and really what we do as people that gets us into the positive habit loops that allow us to achieve our goals. And that's why I kind of designed this question to help us load into that. And what have you found in either of your guys' life, or just what do you feel in general is the stronger human characteristic, intent or habit?
For the good or for the bad?
For either or.
Just the most potent.
Just the most potent human quality or trait between those two overall. Is it intent or habit? And for the most part, none of our questions have a right or wrong answer. Science would suggest one of these answers is actually a little more right than the other.
Yes, it would.
But when you kind of look at it,
this is still a philosophical debate.
it is. It absolutely is, because what's shaping the intent,
Right.
and what's shaping the habit, and the problem oftentimes becomes that no matter what your intent is, if it's good. You always hear things. Well, he or she they started out with such good intentions, and then it went bad.
Or the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Of course, the road to hell was paved with good intentions.
Right.
That's an amazing line.
That's a very
Yep.
good quote.
I think, like, looking back on my journey, where I've come from, to get to my success level, I always tell people that my chance of success was 0. And I had a lot of people tell me I couldn't do it. I wanted to do it, but I always had these haters telling me I couldn't do it. And I always got caught up in these bad habits of thinking that I couldn't do it. And today, the person that I've become has been a person of positivity. I watched the movie The Secret. It's like one of my favorite movies of all times. And it really talks about law of attraction and mindset. And it really is a good thing to sometimes have habits to train us to change the way we deal with things. For instance, like now when I look back on my Facebook, I look at things that I did 5 years ago versus what I do today, and my habits have changed for the better. Like now my habit, instead of being negative, my habit is now positivity. And for some people, they want to vomit when they hear me with being positive all the time, but it's not something that I just learned overnight. It was a habit that I had to develop. It was something that I had to train my brain to start thinking and acting and doing things positively. And so sometimes habits can be good, but sometimes bad habits can also turn into good habits.
When you establish good habits, it's really weird the way your brain actually is rewriting the neurology. So they sort of overwrite the bad habits. They're still there, and they're still present. But as they've studied the human mind, when these good habits are established, it's overwriting them. It's almost like if it was like this like a scab, and you get. You heal over that
through a positive feedback loop. If you get any type of good reward, producing again that serotonin, dopamine response, based on that behavior, you're now developing stronger neural pathways to reinforce that behavior in the future, and that's damn good science right there. That's exactly what's going on.
That's the reality of it, and it's really a challenge to. Number one, identify, holy shit, okay, if there's something you want to change, it's not always something that, you have this epiphanous moment. You can kind of, people drag through it over time, and they drag that negativity through, and you feel like there's no way I'm ever going to get through, there's no way I can challenge this. And it really starts with identifying the habit you want to change, and establishing a new cue. If your bad habit is eating donuts, well, what's making you want to eat those donuts? It sounds really simple, but it could be any number of different.
Look for the trigger.
Yep.
What's the trigger? Is it you're hungry, or you wanted to visit with somebody, or you were bored with what you were doing? And really, all you have to do after you can kind of identify that is, all right, alter the little path.
Yep.
We like to talk. Life is really a choose your own adventure book, but you can get caught telling the same story.
Oh, yeah.
And without shifting your paradigm and really identifying that you want to make this move, and really, even if it's something that you feel like life in general is pretty good, I don't need to change anything about myself, it's not saying anything is negative, but you could find ways to achieve a greater level of continuity with yourself and others around you, and start to change people around you through your habits. Now, was there like a key moment, sort of, or like something that sparked that identity shift? Because some people, again, not always, some people suggest it's under moments of great duress, oftentimes. where
Mine
people
definitely
make
was. Mine came in the fall of 2014. I went through a really deep, dark depression in my life. And, there was a time where I quit eating for 14 days. I lost 60 pounds.
That just gave me chills.
In a
Totally.
month.
Oh my God.
60 pounds in a month, like all over a boy. Like, good Lord, right? And I was so deep and dark and just down in the dumps that finally one day my aunt came down. I was living at her house because I was kicked out with nothing. And she said, "That's it. You're getting up. You're going to watch this movie today. And you're going to start doing something about yourself." I was going to doctors. I was trying to be fed supplements and stuff to eat because I lost all this weight. I was on all these depression and anxiety medicines, and I felt like a zombie.
That
Yep.
sucks, yeah.
I felt like a zombie. I felt like I wasn't the person that I used to be,
Or even the person you could be.
or the person I could be.
Let alone the one you want to be.
Right. And I literally watched that movie, and the next day, I literally looked myself in the mirror, and I said, all right, it's time to get your big girl panties on. It's time to do this. Like, enough is enough. There is no doctor. There's no friends. There is nobody that is going to change this except for you. And you need to get off your ass, and you need to do this.
Did you write down your goals? Or
Yes, I started writing down my goals.
They say
I
it's
started
key.
mapping out myself, not only personally, but business-wise. I wrote down goals that I wanted to achieve every single day to feel
Yes.
like I had a sense of accomplishment. Because so many times my ex used to always say, "What did you do today?" And I would say, "Oh, gosh, I was so busy all day long," but yet I couldn't ever pinpoint what I did. And so now I can be like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Like, I have something to be proud of what I did.
Yep.
But ever since then, I changed my mindset. Like, I told myself that I could do it and that I would do it. And now, like, that's why I
But
lead
you
with
had
so
to
much
follow
positivity.
through.
Yeah.
You had to follow through. And
Right.
one key aspect that really stood out to me right there is that you wrote it down. So
Mm-hmm.
they did a massive weight loss study years ago, and I don't remember the exact number of participants, but these people were dying because of obesity.
Right.
And so they put all of them on the same weight loss program. They got them to lose a giant, vast portion of the weight and then establish a healthy routine in their life. And the main aspect that the doctors and researchers emphasized to the people that were part of the study afterward was to sit down, write out your goal for the week day by day. Write down what you are going to shop for day by day, and write down what you are going to make for food day by day. They said this was the most key aspect of being able to maintain your new habits.
Do you feel like that might play into a bit of personal accountability?
Yes.
Of
If
being-
you don't
being-
do it, people, with my job being a network marketer, when girls come in and they want to see success, they look at that top rank and they think, oh, I want to be there. If
Oh,
they
look
don't,
at her. She did it in 2 years.
right? I did it in 3 months.
Well,
You know what
okay,
I
wow,
mean? Like,
even better.
And that's the thing is, people look at me and they're like, well, why can't I get there in 3 months? Well, I
You
did
can.
things
You
along the
can,
way, and you
folks. You
can.
fucking can.
Right. But what I always tell them is you need to make short-term and long-term accomplishments, or you're going to get burnt out. You're going to give up way too easy. You're going to think that diamond that you're digging for isn't there, when one more pick with your pick, it's right there. You just give up too soon.
And what any leader, you yourself or we here, anybody can do is really, if you ever get the time with these or as a group, identify what the habits are. What are truly, if you could write down, what are truly my habits that have made me on a daily basis this person I am, the successful salesperson I am. And it's a lot of little things, you find those mechanisms,
Yes.
right? It's
the consistency.
cue.
It's the dedication. It's, the customer follow-up, the leading by positive example. Like, all those things add up to give you the long-term goal.
Sure. Some people might make a very small goal and reward themselves too quickly, and then you've gotten the sense of accomplishment too fast.
Right.
I think that happens a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
They say again, coming back to people looking to eat healthy. If you go to the grocery store and you buy your healthy foods first, by the end of your trip, you have convinced yourself, well, I've got enough healthy stuff here, so I can get this bag of Oreos. I can get these Doritos. And it's just that small little thing. Well, I know I want to eat healthy, so I'm going to get all this healthy food right away. And like, oh, hey, look at my cart. I got a shitload of healthy things in here. Let me fucking get these Doritos.
Time to cheat.
Yeah. It's so easy. So, they say again in that it's write down what the absolute essentials are and then write down what the healthy foods you are going to get. Get your essentials, then get the healthy foods, then get the fuck out of there.
Yep. I agree.
No, there's a lot of very small mechanisms that trigger people into healthier habits, and if in any way, shape, or form we could help communicate those, that would be a major achievement. On
and
our
bad
part.
habits are harder
They're
to
fucking
change than positive habits.
They really are.
Sometimes. I mean, it's hard because, like now, like I told someone the other day, I have done so much stuff with positivity. And some of my friends look at it and they're like, oh, I just want to vomit because you're too positive. Well, sorry, your negativity makes me want to vomit.
Right. I struggle with that myself. How do you deal with someone who even, and I'll even struggle with that in my own mind, just assuming that when I'm coming across as my super uber positive type guy that really, it's just because I really honestly feel that way. And I've gone through, I can draw a lot of parallels to your own situation, but I automatically go to a cynical version of whoever's listening, just rolling their eyes at, oh my God, this guy again with his dumb shit. And dealing with that is even difficult. Trying to soldier through that is hard. It's a challenge.
Right.
So what as you wrote your goals down, how quickly did you feel things changing for you? And how much in the beginning weeks did you struggle with the potential invasion of those old habits wanting to get back in there and get you?
I think in the beginning stages, it was harder to see even a little bit more of success, with changing those habits, because we still are feeling so negative or we're still thinking of the negative things. But then after a while, it's almost like it's easier and easier to change them quicker. Because...
Oh, I thought you had something there.
Oh no, no, just.
Oh, sorry, no.
Sorry, no.
Well, and that really would, if researchers were studying your brain at that point, they would have been able to obviously identify the rewriting.
Oh yes.
Of those new habits going right over the old ones, and again that pulse, that struggle, the fight of the old ones. Nobody can grow easily, folks. It's like it's this weird thing because you can and you can't.
Growth.
You have to have the self-discipline. Did you know that willpower is an actual measurable muscle in your brain?
That's awesome.
Factually, yeah.
It would not surprise me one bit. I mean, it's all neurochemical. Everything, most of our behaviors are autonomic in nature. In that. The vast majority of what you do all day is technically autopilot. You're really not putting much effort, neurologically speaking, into what you're doing. It's all pretty much a piece of habit.
Science is they've put a percentage to that, and I'll ask
what
if you had to say what percentage of your day do you feel like occurs, and we call it autopilot, and really what's happening is it's not that it's autopilot, it's just that our brains work so efficiently that simple aspects that become a part of our everyday life are essentially stored in like this area that doesn't take an active
That'd be like
approach.
The basal ganglia.
It's just it's the basal ganglia.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But all these daily habits are sort of being stored there, and they just happen. You're not even thinking about them. They aren't even choices you make anymore because they become habits.
Right.
What would you guess the percentage is?
I would say probably 80-20.
That was exactly what I was going to say, and that's probably about right.
Nope.
No? More?
40%, they
Okay.
say. Up to 40%,
Really?
your average person. Some it might be more.
That's right.
But
right.
in some ways, it's a weird thing to look at. We like to talk about free will a lot.
The more
and
mindful
how much
person is going to have less of an automatic brain, one that is if you're truly mindful, if you practice mindfulness, that is just like Jess said earlier, in that you like to think and analyze before you act. That is being mindful, in that the more mindful you are, the more you analyze something before you do it, and that bleeds into automatic habits and all kinds of things.
Well, it does.
You develop a habit of analyzing before you act, and that breaks habit.
Yeah, of course it does. And a lot of those things that you can kind of store in there on the daily, they allow you to do everything else better.
Right.
And yeah, you start to take some of those things for granted, and it's just weird, I guess, because I've asked that question myself for a long time. How much of our daily life is on autopilot? Why do you take the same route to work every day, the same route back? There's all these certain built-in things that we just sort of do, and it is said that at some point your habits are in such control that you are completely absent free will in that regard. You're not making a choice right there.
Right.
And so that really comes back to the importance of your self-discipline and how you can apply a positive flow to what your habits are.
And being mindful to your behaviors and your decisions and just how it is you're going about these things that you might have taken for granted your entire life.
Habit will always overrule your intent.
Taking another look at them deeper, and you'll learn more about yourself and how you work by just being more mindful, being more present.
I always say that because I always teach with my team the 4 color personalities, with different things, and how people really need to be respectful of other people's personality, their love language, almost in a sense, and some of the biggest negative people on my team don't realize that they're being as negative as they truly are.
Sure.
And so it becomes a habit. Like, for me, it's hard to say, hey, you're being negative. Like, you need to knock that shit off.
Right.
But they don't see it because they're such in that habit of feeling and acting that way. Yep. And when they go try to sell products or get someone to join their team, that negativity spews on them. And it's like, no wonder they're not joining or buying.
And what we need to do right there.
Locked into a pattern of stimulus response.
Yes.
No
what is cueing that negativity? I would ask this person every time you feel the need to have a negative outburst like that, even if you follow through with it, say it if you got to, write down why.
Hit the pause button,
write it down,
and introspect.
Yeah.
That's the time where you want to learn who you are right now.
Well, because the only way that they can identify what's triggering that negative response is to put pen to paper. The moment you have that response, you as the leader, you'd say, hey, write down what's making you feel that way. Yep. And do it from a place of concern. I want to, because you want to know.
Even just try to describe your state of mind.
Yeah.
And truth will come out in analyzing that later, or what have you.
Because it might not be the same every time. But
you know what I've really done the past couple months, and something I learned at a leadership conference, was if you give me a problem, if you give me a negative issue, I want to hear what your solution is to it. So that it spins it, and so that they're not just focusing on the negative.
There you go.
They have to tell me, okay, here's a negative problem. Now what can you do about it? Or what do you think we should change about it? And that has been so key for a lot of people, even in my daily life.
A problem without a solution is just a complaint.
Exactly.
That's
awesome.
Silly.
That's
true. Does you no good. You're just focusing on, I have a problem, I have a problem, I have a problem, I have a problem.
Right.
Every time you come up to that situation of I have a problem, your automatic response needs to be, and what am I going to do about it?
My grandma always said you can wish in one hand and shit in the other and see what fills up faster.
It's classic. If you have a grandma or an aunt or an uncle that didn't say that to you,
I pity you.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone needs to have that in their
right.
life.
So I always say that to people. I'm like, you can complain and complain and complain all you want, but what's the solution for this?
Yep. And even why are you complaining? Write it down. Fucking figure out why. What can you within your own realm of willpower and self-discipline do?
To voice an empty complaint seems as though you're looking outside yourself for an answer. That answer is within you. You need to introspect at that moment, go inside after you go ahead and voice it, but then immediately start getting to work on turning the gears inside of you to come up with an answer.
And not put the blame on someone else all the time.
Right.
No.
Like,
Right.
actually take self-responsibility.
Yes. Self-accountability is critical, and being honest with yourself. That's
Right.
a difficult one.
That's the biggest thing that I run into with my thing is, people come into companies, oh, that company sucked. It must have been the comp plan. It must have been this.
Oh,
must have
right,
been that. Must have
right.
been this.
It's never you.
They never want to say that it's them.
No.
It's never their
you.
fault.
Oh,
but
no
yet this
way.
new company is so much better. Well, no, it wasn't all that.
No.
It was you.
Right. Yeah.
So everyone
Is
can
it-
make
is
it.
it 50,000?
If this tomboy can start a makeup company and be
Right.
successful,
Yes.
I mean, that proves right there that anyone can do any company and be successful in it.
That certainly goes to say a lot towards
Yes.
everybody's ability to do just about anything they damn well set their mind to.
Exactly.
And it comes from a shift in habits and altering your perspective a little bit, applying new thinking to old problems. I imagine was a good part of that. And how did it happen so quickly? 3 months? Like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Like, who shoved the rocket up your ass when you did that? Like,
Sounds like she did.
like you know,
I think
it
what
just
it was
snowballed
is
that
that,
quickly because you changed your habits and stuck to your plan.
well, the first day that I signed up for this new company, I literally walked outside and my ex was sitting there and my best friend. And I said, I'm going to sign up to sell makeup. And they fell off their chairs laughing. Beer cans went flying. Like they thought I went through a midlife crisis, right?
Right.
Because this girl doesn't wear makeup. This girl doesn't, she's in camo and fish guts all over her all the time. But that right there, my whole life, like I was sick and tired of everybody telling me that I would never amount to something and knowing deep down inside that I had something to give, but I just didn't know what.
It's so weird to me, and I know we haven't known each other personally through life, but just as I remember you, I never would have thought that you would have considered yourself like not being able to achieve.
Yes.
You were always like so awesome in school. The teachers loved you. Seemed like you had your shit together. Going back to our high school and middle school years, it's crazy to me that you would have thought that
Us
about yourself.
people that seem like we have the biggest self-esteem usually have the lowest. We
That's very
usually
common.
feel the worst about ourselves. We're usually the most humble people. But that day that they fell off their chairs laughing at me, I literally turned around, walked back inside the camper, and I looked in the mirror as
camper.
tears rolled down my face. I looked and said,
You're writing a country song.
they ain't going to laugh at me anymore. They're not going to laugh at me. Like, I'm going to prove to them that I can. And I did. I worked my butt off. And most of the time, people just, like, they thought I was going through a midlife crisis when I started putting makeup on my face or even wash my face. Because I never even washed my face with soap and water.
She was, if you see her, just remember, she was a dirty hillbilly once. Smeared
Yes.
shit all over her, fish guts, fucking deer guts. Can you field dress a deer?
Oh, yes.
Good for you.
Oh, yes. Actually, my deer that I shot 2 years ago, I only had a H2 Hummer at the time. And I loaded that deer in the back seat of my Hummer and drove all the way home with it. Now I have a pickup.
Yeah, that's.
But no, it came down to the more the people hated on me, the more it fueled my fire to change myself, to prove to them that you don't know what you're talking about. I am going to do this.
And it's amazing. The sad part is that for every one story like that where it was fueling the fire, there's unfortunately 10 where it was fucking
It
putting the
crashes
fire
them.
out.
Sure.
And
Right.
and this is proof, guys. Don't fucking listen to somebody that wants to keep you down. They're bullshit.
I think it's just
Establish your goals.
It's like Jess said earlier, like with the diamond mining, so many people would give up
Yep.
when you're one pick away from making that breakthrough, from crashing through that barrier of I've not dealt well with criticism all my life, and yes, I do have a lot, and I'm pushed down a lot, but I do see this light, but I'm just maybe just gonna give up, or it's just gonna keep being a problem for me. When you're maybe just that one time away from having that ignition and having something beautiful happen.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get stuck in that. Don't get stuck in that stale negative pattern.
No.
you
Right.
don't
It's not
you
worth it,
do
man.
not have to be.
Not worth
And
it.
I think what the best reward with this whole thing is people look at me and they go, oh, she sells makeup. And that's where they're wrong, because my job is so much different than that now. Like, I might be at the top of my company, but my job every day is lifting people up to where I used to be.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be down in the dumps. I've gone through the things that these girls go to, and nothing makes me more happy than to take those people from where I was and bring them to where I am now. Like, that's what it's about.
Doesn't it feel good? And again, I just got goosebumps.
That's
My hair's
so
standing on end
damn
right there listening to you
inspirational.
say that, because I have always thought in my life, in addition to be a good dad and all of that, but if I could have had a positive impact somehow, some way that shifted somebody's life in a really positive trajectory, that is a life well lived for me. I get a neurological satisfaction, and it's not like it's not self-serving, it's not a selfish thing. I get the way other people would consider it, like an orgasm, but that's in my brain. For me,
It's
I
a
get
sensual experience.
a
It doesn't have to be
biochemical
sexual.
reaction
It's very
for sure
sensual.
from helping people, from lifting people.
Yeah.
And if I've shared anything with someone and I knew it helped them, that's amazing.
You
And,
know,
and you're in a position to do that, and,
Right.
and helping these people shift their habits out of that negative stuff. It's a very key component.
You know, there's so many people that see me as this successful person now, and they don't realize the struggles I've went through. And so, like, literally this week I did a Facebook Live video about the struggles I've went through. You know, I told them that I was a person that filed bankruptcy before and hated Christmas. I was a person that received Christmas gifts from the Domestic Violence Center when I was a little girl. You know?
no longer get to have Elf as your movie. Christmas hater. Your vote is rescinded.
But, you know, like, they see
Santa
me as
knows.
this person, and they don't see that I'm just as much like them. And when the biggest thing is I used to hold all this stuff inside of me, and the more now that I let it out and share with people what I went through, there's so many more people that resonate with me.
Yep.
And they're like, oh my gosh, she is a human being.
Yeah, you become a beacon at that point.
I become a bigger role model for people and someone of influence.
They only view you as your success until they
Yes.
realize that you weren't always that way. That
Right.
you did have. You do have a story behind you, and I'll admit I did a little Facebook creeping preparing for this episode, and I watched that video, and it was beautiful. You are such an inspiration. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so, you know, I tell people that I'm like, don't think and judge me as I'm someone successful. I haven't always had the perfect life.
Exactly.
And so, even more reason, change your habits, change your mindset, and change your life. And you
Now-
too can do this just like I did.
Well, and
Now we can identify with you as a human, not just
Absolutely.
this icon of success or
Right.
this unattainable existence that may as well not even be breathing. It's just this thing. Well, now you're a person. Now you're human.
And
Now
too
I
many
see you.
times people get success and it changes them for the worse.
Sure.
You know, they don't.
Or they recoil
think-
from that and
Yeah.
build on top of that ego, and you are now like it's like you see yourself as this iconic thing. I am no longer flesh and blood.
Right.
That's not so good.
Exactly.
No, well, listen,
That certainly isn't going to inspire very many to attempt to do what you've just done.
No.
I love that you said a part of your job has become uplifting people and helping them shift their habits in a way that can really affect their life from the outward in or the inward out, however you want to look at it, from their job. If their job with you is selling makeup for Unique, they're working from there out. Howard Schultz, I think I have the name right. That's the owner of Starbucks. A lot of people don't know his story. He's a high school dropout. His parents were addicts. He watched his parents overdose multiple times growing up as a kid. He knew and watched as a child. He ran to the neighbor's house to have the neighbors call the cops. He already knew at that point, I think he was around 8 or 9, at that point to convey to the neighbors that his dad had just passed out, even though he knew his dad was dying from a drug overdose. So terrible turmoil. His parents both died before he was ever successful and owned Starbucks. It is a very emotional story when you really get to know it. And his trigger was habits, and he found how people's habits shaped the entire paradigm of their reality. And he was able to utilize that and build the empire of Starbucks as we know it today. And it's crazy. A major part of his philosophical training for Starbucks employees wasn't the standard A plus B bullshit that you get in a training manual. He wanted to prepare them to be people. He wanted to establish what were their habits, how can we fix them, how can we change them, and how can we move forward and make the Starbucks employees not just fucking coffee baristas, but good human beings who have healthy habits. And
a totally new take on training managerial staff. A total new take.
It's brilliant.
On what it means to be that Fortune 500 company or to attain such status. That's what we need more of in this world is more new ideas. Our old stuff has had its time.
Yep, and that's what I love most about our company is we actually have a mission statement. It's to uplift, empower, and validate people. And our business was actually started to be able to create a safe haven place for women that were sexually abused as children. And so with every order, you can donate towards this haven place where women can go and get treatment. So again, you know, I've always wanted to help people my whole life. Like, I'm not just selling makeup to them and making them feel beautiful. I'm also taking them from their old nightmares of sexual abuse and uplifting them to a whole new level. And
that's incredible.
You know, there's all these people that have come from different backgrounds and things like that. And like you said, drug overdose and this and that and abuse and all this stuff.
Addiction, unfortunately, ties into a lot.
Yes. And now they feel uplifted, empowered, and validated and part of a community, part of a sisterhood.
We need so much more of that.
No, it's extremely
so much
positive.
More of that.
Real quick, because I know we're getting close to the end of the show, Jess. Plug your company. Tell us a little bit about it. Like for any of our female listeners out there, I've got to believe there's at least a couple.
All three of you.
All three of you. No, seriously. Tell us just a little bit about what it is you sell and do briefly here at the end, and plug your company and anything else you might want to plug.
Well, we're a worldwide international cosmetics company, and we sell naturally based products. We have a amazing Love It guarantee, so you have 14 days to try our products, and if you don't like them, no questions asked. It comes from the most natural ingredients in the world. We carry skincare now that just launched a month ago. We have any kind of makeup that you could possibly want, and our biggest reason that we got to be where we are is because we sell an amazing mascara called our 3D Fiber Lash Mascara. Makes your eyelashes look like you have extensions on, washes off at night, and our prices are super reasonable. And like I mentioned, the biggest part about it is you're uplifting, empowering, and validating women around the world. And your purchase, along with your donation to round up at the end, can help sexually abused women.
I'll tell you this much. If the rest of Unique is represented by leaders like you, they're clearly heading in the right direction because, as previously stated, the world needs more of that, and they're doing something right.
Thank you.
If they helped you get here, they're obviously doing something right, and I'm damn glad to have you on the show.
Finally, a big business run by conscientious people.
Yeah, it's a brother-sister team. They're amazing. They know you by name. You're not a paycheck to them. It's absolutely amazing. If anyone wants to check out my website and
What's your website?
History and everything, it's ndlash.com. ndlash.com. We will also be sure to share that on our Twitter as well as our Facebook, guys, so you can find that there. It's been a totally lovely time having Jess here at the Good Talk 5. Again, hey, if you listened and you love us and you enjoyed what you heard today, please find us on iTunes. It's the Good Talk, all one word. We are on Twitter at the Good Talk 5. As always, we really do like to give a shout out to maps.org. They're going to help shape people's minds for the future, along with leaders here like Jess Parizek. That was a good talk, my friends. Thank you. Good talk.
Good talk.